some cars didn't just fail, they pulled entire companies down with them. These were the models so disastrous that they drained cash, ruined reputations, and in some cases, sent automakers into bankruptcy or complete closure. Whether due to engineering nightmares, colossal market misraids, or economic meltdowns sparked by their release, these cars didn't just dent the bottom line. They destroyed the companies that built them. Let's dive into the real stories behind the 7 cars that killed their creators. 1. The Ford Edsil, the $3 and $50 million disaster that shattered dreams. When Ford unveiled the Edsil in 1957, it was hyped as the car of the future, a luxurious, innovative model that would define the next era of motoring. But instead of revolutionizing the market, the Edsil became the most infamous flop in American automotive history. Ford poured over $350 million into development, an unimaginable sum at the time, only to discover that consumers hated the car's strange design and bloated pricing. Its distinctive, horse collar grille was ridiculed, and the marketing campaign confused buyers rather than exciting them. Worse, a recession hit during its launch, and buyers fled to cheaper, more reliable cars. Within 3 years, Ford killed the Edsil, marking a failure so massive that it remains a case study in business schools today. While Ford itself survived thanks to its broader portfolio, the Edsil name became synonymous with corporate failure, forever staining the company's reputation in the premium segment. 2. DeLorean DMC-12, the dream that crashed and burned. The DeLorean DMC-12 wasn't just a car, it was supposed to be a revolution. John DeLorean, a brilliant engineer who helped create the Pontiac GTO, left General Motors to start his own company in the late 1970s. His vision, a futuristic sports car with gull, wing doors, and stainless steel body panels. Backed by millions in government funding in Northern Ireland, DeLorean launched the DMC-12 in 1981. But behind the sleek design were serious problems. It was underpowered, overpriced, and plagued by quality issues. Worse, the global recession and new emissions regulations killed demand. Only 9,000 cars were made before the company collapsed in 1982, just as John DeLorean was arrested in an FBI cocaine sting operation, though he was later acquitted. The company went bankrupt almost overnight. Ironically, the DMC-12 became famous only after death, immortalized in the Back to the Future films. But by then, it was too late to save DeLorean Motor Company. 3. The Tucker 48, killed by innovation or conspiracy. The Tucker 48, also called the Tucker Torpedo, is one of the most legendary what could have beens in automotive history. In 1948, Preston Tucker promised a car that was light years ahead of its time, featuring a rear engine, disc brakes, a third headlight that turned with the wheels, and safety features no one else dared to offer. But Tucker's innovation terrified the Detroit Big Three automakers, and rumors suggest they conspired with politicians and bankers to crush his company. Whether or not the conspiracy was real, the result was the same. Government investigations, financial pressure, and negative publicity doomed the Tucker Corporation. Only 51 cars were built before the company folded in 1949. Today, Tucker cars are worth millions at auction, and historians debate if Tucker was killed by overreach or by industrial sabotage. Either way, this car promised to change everything but instead buried its own company under debt and scandal. 4. The Bricklin SV-1, a Canadian dream that ended in ruins. The Bricklin SV-1 was supposed to be North America's answer to the safety-conscious sports car market. Funded by the Canadian province of New Brunswick, the car featured gull wing doors, acrylic body panels, and a focus on driver safety, a concept far ahead of its time in the 1970s. But from the start, the SV-1 suffered engineering problems. The doors were heavy and unreliable, the acrylic panels cracked in cold weather, and the cars leaked water in the rain. Even worse, costs spiraled out of control. Bricklin's founder, Malcolm Bricklin, mismanaged funds and overpromised production numbers. After producing just 280-54 units, the company collapsed in 1976, costing taxpayers millions. The government's dream of creating a Canadian auto industry was left in shambles, and Bricklin's failure became a cautionary tale for public-funded private ventures. 5. The Rover City Rover, the car that helped kill a giant. A Rover was once the pride of British motoring, a respected, historic brand that built elegant saloons and reliable vehicles for the middle class. But by the early 2000s, Rover was in crisis, struggling against cheaper, more efficient European and Japanese rivals. Hoping to win back budget-conscious drivers, Rover launched the City Rover in 2003, a tiny hatchback designed by India's Tata and merely rebadged for the UK market. The problem, it was terrible. Cheap interior materials, sloppy build quality, and a price tag far higher than similar cars turned off British buyers instantly. The media roasted the City Rover as a cynical, lazy attempt to save a dying company. Sales tanked, and Rover's last chance at revival vanished. By 2005, Rover collapsed into administration, wiping out thousands of jobs and ending nearly a century of British car manufacturing. The City Rover wasn't the only reason, but it was the final nail in Rover's coffin. 6. The Pontiac Aztec, the SUV that destroyed a brand. The Pontiac Aztec has become a pop culture joke, often listed among the ugliest cars ever built. But the Aztec's failure wasn't funny for General Motors. Launched in 2001, the Aztec was supposed to attract young, adventurous buyers looking for a cool crossover SUV. Instead, its bizarre, angular styling horrified customers, and its confusing mix of minivan and SUV features left nobody satisfied. Worse, Pontiac spent a fortune developing and marketing the Aztec, only to watch sales fall flat. Though the Aztec didn't bankrupt Pontiac immediately, it destroyed the brand's image. GM's internal documents later admitted that the Aztec's disaster signaled the beginning of the end for Pontiac. By 2010, Pontiac was officially killed off as part of GM's post-bankruptcy restructuring. The Aztec's failure helped sink what had once been one of America's most beloved car brands. Ironically, the Aztec later gained cult status thanks to Breaking Bad, but by then Pontiac was dead. 7. Saab 95NG, the last breath of an iconic brand. For decades, Saab was known for quirky, innovative cars that defied convention. But when General Motors took over in the 1990s, the Swedish company lost its edge. The final blow came with the Saab 95NG, the last model before Saab's death. Released in 2010 under new owner Spiker Cars, the 95 was actually a beautiful advanced vehicle. Critics praised its design, turbocharged engines, and technology, but it arrived far too late. Years of GM neglect had eroded Saab's loyal customer base, and Spiker didn't have the resources to market or mass produce the car properly. Worse, the 2008 financial crisis had crippled the auto industry, and banks refused to fund Saab's expansion. Only around 11,000 units of the new 95 were ever built before Saab declared bankruptcy in 2011. Despite building what many consider its best car ever, Saab couldn't survive. The 95NG became a tragic symbol, the right car at the wrong time, carrying the weight of a dead company. The bigger lesson: when one car can kill an empire, these cars weren't necessarily the worst vehicles ever made, but they carried the hopes and survival of their companies. And when they flopped, the impact was fatal. A single model can drain cash reserves, destroy brand reputation, alienate loyal customers, and frighten investors. In these cases, the collapse of an entire business followed closely behind. It's a brutal lesson in the high-stakes world of car manufacturing. You can design a masterpiece, or you can design your own downfall. Automakers today carefully study these disasters to avoid repeating history. They know that consumers are unforgiving, the market is volatile, and one mistake, even one, can end an entire legacy. As Tesla, Rivian, and other startups grow, they face the same deadly risks that killed Tucker, DeLorean, and Saab. One bad car can erase decades of progress. So next time you see a weird, ugly, or doomed car, remember, it might not just be a design mistake. It could be the vehicle that sends an entire company into the grave. What's next? As the auto industry races into the age of electric vehicles, autonomous driving, and AI technology, the risk of launching a company-killing car is higher than ever. A single flop in this high-stakes environment, whether it's a battery failure, software disaster, or misjudged market demand, could wipe out even the boldest new brands. The ghosts of the Edsil, the DMC-12, and the 95NG still haunt boardrooms around the world. Will history repeat itself? Or will automakers learn from these tragic lessons? Only time will tell. The story of cars that killed their companies is more than just mechanical failure. It's about ambition gone wrong, dreams dashed by reality, and sometimes pure bad luck. From the scandalous fall of DeLorean to the quiet death of Saab, these 7 cars show how brutal and unforgiving the auto world can be. Every car launched is a gamble, and sometimes that gamble costs everything. Stay tuned for more deep dives into the wild, dangerous, and shocking stories of the automotive industry.